Mark, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to tech, it would seem. A little wobble in the tech narrative. That NASDAQ futures down on that Broadcom story.
Yeah, obviously it is all about the Broadcom story in the short term. And I'm not going to add much more specific detail on the company than Matt has just done. But I do think an interesting tidbit there was that the reasons their gross margins are lower is because they're focusing more on their business on AI. And I think that's just a trend we're seeing everywhere, like both on the user side and the business side. And then he talked about SpaceX, it's really an AI company as well. Basically, the whole world is just going all in on this, and it becomes more problematic when it eventually falls down that the emperor has no clothes becomes a problem.
Why has the emperor got no clothes?
Well, for example, you got with SpaceX, you're going to get a 5% float that's going to go to market really rapidly. More is going to retail, which means that with only 5% float and it's being allowed to join the indexes in super short time, the amount of passive money that has to flow in. So we know it's going to pop extraordinarily. Now, why else would you do that? I mean, it's a 1.8 trillion company. I don't know how it's going to trade. So I have no idea. But it wouldn't shock me if it suddenly goes another 50% or 100% in no time at all. Or it becomes because there's so little float out there that people have to buy. And to me, this just sounds like just some extraordinary moment in markets that's going to kind of absorb capital and make everyone realize, wait a sec, this company is based on just extremely ambitious projections that would be wonderful for humanity if they come through. But we're talking a very long time span here. And the revenues right now are tiny. So, it's an extreme case. I hope. I don't know if it's the most extreme case. We've got some more IPOs coming this year. It is one of the extreme cases of kind of just the euphoria and froth in the AI market. But I said the SpaceX IPO will probably go brilliantly because of how it's structured.
Do you think it's a broader catalyst for markets? And does that focus on the IPOs, whether it's SpaceX or Anthropic or OpenAI later this year, keep the markets sidelining what's happening in the Middle East?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a very big point for markets. As you know, I've become much more cynical about the AI bubble inflation, and it's hard to know, when it's going to pop. But this is another company that its projections are it's going to completely dominate the AI revenue space. And then we're going to have OpenAI go to market that's going to dominate the revenue space. And we're going to have Anthropic come to market that's going to dominate the revenue space. They can't all win this. They've all got competing products. They're pretty, commoditized products. And at the moment, people are just suddenly realizing that, hey, wait a sec, how much real value are we getting? Yeah, I can build some lovely, nice new dashboard. But do I need the dashboard? Does it help me do more work? Does it help me produce more goods? So, look, obviously AI technology is phenomenal. I use a lot of it. How much actual real value does it add is much harder to quantify.
Yeah, we're watching oil prices come a little lower today. FTSE futures called lower. That might or might not be linked. The market is still moving. The bond markets are still watching what happens with oil.
Completely. So bond markets, dollar, so US rates markets, I should say, and the dollar are completely correlated with oil to, I think, the most extreme ever. The inverse correlation with the S&P 500 is very large. So, yeah, AI has distracted us. It is the most dominant theme. It is going to continue to distract us. But there's real-world damage being done in the conflict, and that does have real matters for markets.
OK. We have to talk about your event as well. Our event. We're all going to be there. But it's really good timing, though. AI excitement in these markets, followed by a host of interest rate decisions. The first for Kevin Walsh at the Fed next week. It's a really interesting time in markets to be holding this event.
I think it's before Walsh's first Fed is really important, and I think the whole debate now about. It's not even an exact signal of whether he's hawkish, dovish. It's what you get that mix between yields and dollar, which way they kind of go, is going to be really relevant. And as you know, the AI theme is can Asia keep on dominating? Is Europe going to continue becoming irrelevant? So it is a great time, apart from the tube strike. But otherwise, it's a great time.
You can tell Anna's doing the bond market panel.
It's all about the war. We don't care about AI, do we? Yeah.
That's the signal from Anna. So that event is later today. I think we're live streaming in it.
Live Go.
So you can watch in, particularly if you are a subscriber, of course.